You done fucked it up. Fix this shit now.
That's right. You done messed it up. You done messed it up. I talked with C-Dog before I recorded this, started recording it. And we both talked about everything we've seen on the internet. There's a reason there's flames behind me. The college football world is on fire right now. Setting aside my opinion, it doesn't, this is the craziest thing I've seen in football, period. Even more so than like the Seattle referee gate or whatever, interception, non-interception, deflate gate, all that. I've never seen anything like this. It's absolutely insane. Florida State 100% got screwed. That is not controversial. I haven't seen many people saying that they didn't get screwed, at least somewhat. What I see is, yep, it's unfortunate for Florida State, but this is the best thing to do. They'll say the right thing to do was to put Florida State in, but this was the best thing to do. And this is my entire problem with this load of crap. What does any of that mean? What does the right thing to do mean? What does best mean? No one has been able to answer this question for me because it's set up that way. If I asked 10 people to define for the college football playoffs what best team means, I will get 10 different answers. It's subjective. It's not well defined. What is best? What's the best ice cream? What does this mean? In the comments, tell me what best means. Why we use that as a way to pick the college football playoffs, this semantics game, and by proxy hypothetical game, is curious to me. And I'll tell you why we do it that way, where there's not set rules. We'll talk about the rules actually change from year to year to fit the college football playoffs needs or whatever. They change. What are the rules? What gets you in the college football playoffs? We've now established undefeated conference champion doesn't get you in. Something that I thought would be indisputed, shy of there being 5 undefeated conference champions. What is this? What is this? I'll tell you why we use this semantic game, not well-defined verbiage to pick the college football playoffs. It is for exactly what just happened, to shoehorn in an SEC team that shouldn't be there. The arrogance, the privilege of the SEC is phenomenal to me. I've even seen probably 100 tweets that go just like this. The playoffs should be Michigan, Texas, Alabama, Georgia, in whatever order. They think they should have 2 SEC teams in over 2 undefeated conference champions, one in Washington having who will probably win the Heisman Trophy this year. Now, how do they deduce that? That gets us into the next thing. We have to play the hypothetical game. Well, Georgia would drag Washington, so they should be in. You don't know that. You have no idea whether that would happen or not. Well, Florida State would get drugged by any one of the 4 teams that are in the playoffs. You don't know that. Florida State has a phenomenal defense this year. their backup quarterback will most likely be back for what would have been their playoff game. That's why you play the games. If this is what we're going to do, if this is what we've established, the vaguely, fuzzily defined rules are, then why even play the regular season anymore? Why play conference championships anymore? This is what we should do. Don't play the regular season. Let's just save ourselves a bunch of time. For the safety of these kids, don't play the regular season. Let Vegas pick who wins the regular season games and then pick the college football playoffs. Why would we not do that if we're just going to be in hypotheticals? That's the point of playing conference championships. That's the point of playing the regular season, is we no longer have to use hypotheticals. And then we'll just play the college football playoffs and just fast forward to bowl season. What the college football playoff committee just did is they said, we're not in the competitive sports business anymore. They're doing the exact same that the WWF, now WWE, had to admit in the day. We're in sports entertainment now. This is a sports entertainment business. It's scripted. The minute Alabama won the SEC title, they were in. Even though now we're going to get a rematch, potentially, of them in Texas. We've already seen them play. Notice how there's never a controversy as to who goes to the conference championship or who the conference champion is. It's because we've defined clearly how you get there. If there's divisions, whoever has the best conference record. If not, whoever has the 2 best overall records goes. Isn't that easy? I've seen, it's unfortunate that Jordan Travis got injured. It's unfortunate for Florida State. Call it what it is. It's corrupt. That's what it is. Jordan Travis tweeted, I wish I would have got hurt earlier in the season. I get it. That tells you that the rules change year to year, by the way. Ohio State was on their 3rd string quarterback in the very first college football playoffs. And they boat raced a prime Bama team. We would have never known that had they not been in. Now, so injuries didn't matter then, but they do matter now. So we've established the rules have changed. Then I see, Boo Corrigan or whatever his name is, some garbage NC State guy who's the committee chair or whatever. He explained how they came to the decision process. No, he didn't. He didn't explain shit. He said they went around the room 6 times and then said that these were the 4 best. That explains nothing. If they're going to screw Florida State like this, they should at least have the dignity to clearly define how they came to that decision. They don't have to do it. Why? I'll tell you why he didn't explain it. Because the truth is, the ESPN picked this. ESPN put Alabama in. That's what happened. Winning and losing no longer matters. But the SEC is superior to all the conferences. Are they? Let's do a Sesame Street. One of these things is not like the other. You have a losing record to every Power 5 conference other than the Pac-12. You're 2-1 versus the Pac-12. 7-9 overall. And the conference you say such you're 4-6 against. So I agree with Pigskin Pete. If the ACC is garbage, then you're watery diarrhea, SEC. But there ain't no SEC biased. And I love Carolina Jackpot. I think he's the most entertaining college football YouTuber on the platform. If you're not subscribed to him, you should be. And Pigskin Pete. But his SEC homerism is coming in. He's like, oh, there ain't no SEC bias. Clemson got in all them years. Name the undefeated conference champion, Power 5 conference champion, that Clemson got in over. I'll wait. Totally missed the point, Jackpot. I love you, but you totally missed the point. If Clemson got in over an undefeated SEC champion, then I'd say, yeah, there's an ACC bias. I'd be willing to admit that. SEC fans can't. It's all about the money, Lebowski. This is a decision that had nothing to do with football. It had to do with money draws and guaranteeing the SEC got in. Why don't they just come out and say, SEC's getting in no matter what? Why do I say that? Bama got in when they weren't a conference champion. There's a clear SEC bias. I don't see how people can't look at that. All these people on the internet especially see conspiracies everywhere when they're not there. And then when there's one right up under your nose, you can't even get a whiff of it. Then I've seen, let me back up. So we've said the rules change. So why don't we just be above board? The minute your quarterback goes down, why don't they just disqualify you from the playoffs then? Why don't they just say it then if that's the rule? And if that's so important, Jordan Travis, that it knocks you out of the playoffs being an undefeated conference champion, he should be the undisputed Heisman winner. Also, if quarterback is that important, don't call it the college football playoffs. Call it the college football quarterback competition. There are 11 players on offense and defense, right? So that's 22. There's 21 other players on a team. It's not just the quarterback. Also, I've seen a 12-team playoff fixes this. No, it doesn't. It makes it a little bit better, but conference champions are supposed to get an automatic bye. What if we get into a situation like this again? You could go undefeated conference Power 5 champion and not get a bye. So now you have a harder path. We just gave the SEC the greatest recruiting tool you could ever want. When you're recruiting a kid, all you have to say is, hey, you go to one of these other conferences, you might have a harder path. Or if you're a fringe team in the 12-13, you're getting left out. Or you might get left out because of this SEC bias. So I just watched, it's like a 25-minute, I had to put this back in, 25-minute clip of Josh Pate. I'll link it in the video description of his reaction to this. And he brings up some points that I've already made. So I want to talk about it. And there's a lot of people saying a lot of things. I even saw Uncle Lou, who I generally don't have a problem with. I mean, we don't really ever go back and forth. But he loves to put out these straw man arguments and pretend like that's everyone's argument and say, yep, everyone's dumb but me. You're the dumbest person in the room. He said, hey, college football playoff committee chairperson's NC State's AD. So if you say there's SEC bias, you're the dumbest person in the room. Well, I'm sorry. That's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. You have no idea how he voted. You have no idea what he said. For all you know, he could be in there cracking heads and saying FSU needs to be in. He don't decide who goes to the college football playoff, idiot. Unless you were in the room. Were you in the room with him, Lou? You have a clue what he said? No, you don't. So spare me with this, everyone's a dummy but me. Moving on to Pate. He said, I guess what he says is the weakest argument. A bunch of people saying this is WWE on grass. And his counter argument to that has nothing to do with anything that happened. All right? And don't accuse me of taking him out of context. I'm going to play a long clip of what he actually said in the speaking of the dumbest things ever said. He dropped one in this. All right? He says it's not WWE, it's not controlled by TV, it's not controlled by money, because people he doesn't name, a bunch of people he considers to be reasonable, also think this is correct. That's called an argument from authority fallacy. There's literally a fallacy that addresses exactly what he just said. Smart people say it, so it must be true. Smart people say dumb things all the time that aren't true. Doesn't have anything to say whether it's correct. So, my point is, ESPN owns the rights to this. You don't think they're not pushing it, putting their finger on the scale one way or the other? He doesn't address any of that. Doesn't even bring it up. Next, and this will go into the clip that I'll play in a second. One of the more reasonable things that he said, no FSU because of TCU. So they didn't want a blowout this year. And he does go into what I talked about. The rules have changed. I didn't talk about it specifically earlier. They put in TCU. They got blown out in the national title. People skim over. They had to beat the number 2 seed to get there. They didn't just skip straight to the national title game. They had to win a playoff game to get there. You might have a point with that if you were going to say if they got blown out by Michigan. They didn't. They didn't. Now, so it was okay to put in TCU, which people don't consider to be one of the 4 best teams, even though they beat one of them in the country. So then they changed the rules and ad hoc. Now, they have said 4 best teams. What they haven't said that's ad hoc that Pate brings up, which is new to this year, is, well, it's not most deserving. And they set the stage for this leading in to the selection yesterday. It's not most deserving. So they had set up they were going to hose Florida State leading into this. He also addresses the games don't matter. Well, SEC championship mattered. The Pac-12 championship mattered. If they would have lost, results would have been different. Alabama-Auburn mattered. And to that I would say, did it? We don't know how that would have affected the committee. I'm not so sure if Bama didn't stumble against Auburn and still beat Georgia in the SEC title, they still wouldn't get in over, because that doesn't change the reasoning why Florida State got left out. Well, their quarterback got hurt, so they're not one of the 4 best teams. If that's a valid reason, it's not invalidated by Alabama losing to Auburn and being a 2-loss SEC champion. So again, like I've said this whole video, it's all hypothetical nonsense. We don't know. We just get to say, well, in my hypothetical world, it would work out this way, so SEC. I do like that he says, and really he rides both sides of the fence. Again, I don't understand how you can be like, I think both are right, which is what he does say, assigning a point value to Jordan Travis to what he means to that football team. And I agree. I agree. And here's the thing with that. If Alabama's quarterback got hurt, if Jaden Milrose got hurt, and then their backup got a concussion, and they found a way to beat Georgia and be a conference champion, do you think they get left out? If you don't, which I agree with, then what? Then never come in here and talk to me about there's no SEC bias. Okay? Everyone I've asked said, yeah, they still think Bama gets in. And Pate talks about the 2. He admits he has an Alabama bias and an SEC bias. Here's the thing with bias and preference and this kind of thing. Like the first point, it doesn't get you toward the truth. It doesn't get you toward what's correct. You can have a bias that one thing is better than the other. It doesn't make it so. I don't know what's so difficult to understand about any of that. Again, we can't go toward verifiable metrics. We have to go toward these vague things: bias, best, not most deserving, hypothetical. Why is this difficult to understand? And the most egregious thing, before we get into that, he says, well, they weren't incentivized to be consistent because school's out. This is the last year of the 4-team playoff. So when the 12-team playoff comes in, it'll all be fine. Like I said, it won't. It won't. You'll still have an issue with who gets a bye and not. And if you're saying that doesn't matter, then I've got a course on wealth, how to become a millionaire in 3 days to sell you. It does matter. You're going to have the same thing. If he's admitting there's an SEC bias and you have Fringe 12 and 13, it's going to be an issue. And for 4 and 5, it's going to be an issue, which gets you a bye. Doesn't address that. The most damning thing he says is he actually says this is a good thing for Florida State. He says that the College Football Committee did FSU a favor. And just so I can't be accused like he says, and I think he's setting the stage for anyone that has a counter to it, which is literally the easiest thing ever. He's going to say you're taking him out of context. I'm going to play a long clip, all right? A long clip of exactly what he said, so you can't say that I'm taking him out of context. Play it now.
Forget about the coming days. I'm going to tell you right now, this is about to be a good thing for Florida State long term. It is not fun today, and I am not trying to cheer you up or turn that frown upside down or anything like that, but you mark my words, it is going to be a good thing long term for Florida State that they got left out of the playoff today. This is going to be a bastardized quote. It's going to be miscontextualized, and someone's going to call it stupid, not have a clue what I'm trying to say. Lock in for about 20 seconds, 30 seconds here. I am telling you, they got left out today, and it's not fun for anyone. They would have gone to the playoff, and it is my opinion, they would have gotten humbled on the field. But they're not going to the playoff. You think that's a bad thing. Just like UCF folks in 2017, they thought it was the end of the world. They didn't make the playoff. Not making the 2017 college football playoff was the best thing to ever happen to UCF athletics. Now, FSU is not trying to establish itself as an entity in college sports. They've long since done that. But I am asking you, what happens if you go to the playoff? Florida State wasn't going to win the national title. So what you were going to have was a net result of what you have right now. You were going to have an ACC championship, an undefeated regular season, and then you would have had a loss on your resume in the playoffs. You would have been able to say you went to the playoffs. Here's what's a lot more important for you. You're going to be able until the end of the time to say you got screwed this year, like Auburn in 2004. No one can ever take your assumptions away or your speculation away because we didn't see it on the field. You can go around for all I care and tell folks you would have beaten everyone in the playoff. No one beat you in the regular season. Feel free. But here's what else you're going to do. You're going to be able to package a ton of equity up from this. You're going to be able to convince your organization from now in the foreseeable future that the entire world is out to get you. It does wonders to bake in a bunker mentality into the culture of a program when you can sell kids on that, and you can sell staffers on that, and nutrition and strength and conditioning and recruiting and personnel. You sell all those folks on the idea that, hey, even our best one year wasn't good enough. So you know what in the future we're going to do? In the future, we're going to salt the earth entirely. We are going to lay waste to whoever lines up against us, and we're going to leave no doubt. Because if we leave it in the hands of a committee of people, you've seen what's going to happen. Mike Norvell doesn't even have to pretend. He doesn't have to do like Kirby did last year. And
so if I understand what he's saying correctly, and I think I do, he's saying, well, you'd get blown out anyways. Now you get to claim a fake national title like Central Florida did. Wow. You're saying there's not an SEC bias? He's not. Most people are. That's right, Florida State man. Florida State fan. If you're mad, you shouldn't be. College Football Playoff Committee did you a favor. Again, I don't know that they would have got blown out. No one knows that. That's the problem with this. And as far as the games don't matter, it doesn't matter if you're the ACC champion is the point. And obviously Alabama, Texas, that game didn't matter. So now we're in a world where games don't matter. If Alabama won or lost, it wouldn't have affected them. That's what we're saying. And to say that it's going to help you in recruiting is literally the stupidest thing that I've ever heard in my life. I've already gave the counter to that. All you have to say is, hey, you can be an undefeated conference champion and not get a bye. So if you want to be rewarded for being an undefeated conference championship, you've got to go to the conference champion. You have to go to the SEC. That I cannot believe he would actually say, not only does this help Florida State, it's going to help them in recruiting. It's going to help them in their strength and conditioning. It's going to help them in nutrition. You want to talk about cope with a bad decision. This is madness. That he would record that, look at it, upload it, is insane. Let's talk about the other thing this could mean. It's a huge detriment to the ACC now. If they weren't motivated to try and get out, and look, it looks like Grant Rights holds them in, it helps them in a potential lawsuit if they want to try and go that route to get out. They can say, hey, it cost us multiple seven figures being in the conference. But hey, Josh Pate says you got done right. It was a good thing for you. And that's the other thing. How can he say they got screwed and you're getting help? Have you ever been screwed and thought, oh man, that was actually a benefit to me? No. Moving on. I haven't seen a single person explain to me what best means. Because we go between best, most deserving. Define to me what that means. Why can't we have clear-cut rules for this? I don't see how you could feel any differently. And this has nothing to do, I'm a tech guy if you've never seen my channel. All right, so I'm an ACC guy too. Has nothing to do with it. I can see BS no matter where my allegiances lie. Why can't anyone else? Y'all have a good one.